request you all to maintain decorum in the hall. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Vanessa Alphonse from XIME, Bangalore, will be your MC for today. I will also be joined by Ms. Catherine Hanna of Batch 27. I would now like to invite the following dignitaries to proceed towards the dais. Founder of XIME and Chairman of XIME Bangalore, Professor J. Philip, Chairman of XIME Kochi, Professor C.P. Ravindranathan, Director of XIME Bangalore, Dr. M. Nilayappan, Chief Guest for today's event, Mr. Vijay Krishnan Venkatesan, our Guest of Honor, Mr. G.R. Akadas. The following dignitaries who represent various industry associations, Mr. M. Anil Kumar, MD, SLN Technologies, Mr. Arunakar Mishra, CEO and Founder, Chenser Aerospace, Dr. Jacob Krasta, Founder and Chairman, CM Envirosystems Private Limited, and the Chairman of L Square Eco Products Private Limited, Mr. Pramod Sethi, MD Polyfluoro Limited, Mr. S. Vishwanathan, Member of the Jury SME Excellence Awards. We also have with us our honorable jury members, Mr. Ajit Jagannath, Mr. Rajesh Misra, Mr. Kemi Ramanand, sitting in the front row of the audience. We are honored to have with us guests from the finalists of the top 10 SMEs of Bangalore, faculty members and members of XIME and students. On behalf of XIME Bangalore, we would like to warmly welcome you all to the SME Excellence Awards. To begin the ceremony, I would like to invite Dr. M. Nilayappan, Director of XIME Bangalore, to give his welcome address.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of our founder and chairman, Professor J. Philip, President of XIME Society, Mr. Anil Philip, Chairman XIME Kochi, Professor C.P. Ravindran sir, and XIME management, I extend a very warm welcome to the chief guest, Mr. Vijay Krishnan Venkatesan, MD Kenametal. The guest of honor, Mr. Akadas, Director of MSME Institute, Bangalore, Mr. Vishwanathan, our board member and one of the jury members, the other jury members, captains of industry, Mr. Anil Kumar, Mr. Arunakar Mishra, Dr. Jacob Krasta, Mr. Pramod Sethi, Mr. Prashant Reddy, and other SME guests, winners of the award, faculty and our dear students. It will be an understatement to tell that SMEs are the backbone of Indian economy. They are much more than that. As you all know, SMEs are one of the key drivers of India's growth story. This sector, comprising manufacturing, infrastructure, service industry, food processing, packaging, chemicals and IT, has emerged as the most vibrant and dynamic engine of growth of the Indian economy, significantly over the last 2 decades. These self-funded proprietary firms, private cooperatives, private self-help groups, khadi and village and coir industries not only provide huge employment opportunities but also ensure regional balance by taking industrialization to rural and backward areas. It is said about 20% of the MSMEs operate out of rural and backward areas. To understand the importance of SME sector, I wish to share with you some key statistics, trends and reports. This was called out from CAA report. You would appreciate what the numbers convey. Number of SMEs in India The number is estimated to be 42.50 million registered and unregistered together, a staggering 95% of the total industrial units in the country. Employs about 106 million, which is 40% of India's workforce, next only to the agriculture sector. Produces more than 6,000 products. Its contribution to the GDP currently is around 6.11% of the manufacturing GDP and 24.63% of the service sector GDP. SME output 45% of the total Indian manufacturing output. SME exports constitutes about 40% of the total exports. Bank lending accounts for 16%. Fixed assets currently it's estimated at 14,71,912 crores or 14.71 trillion crores. SME growth rate has maintained an average growth rate of over 10%. Comprehending this sector's contribution towards employment numbers, towards GDP, innovation and entrepreneurship, the Government of India has launched numerous initiatives. Some of them are credit guarantee funds for the National Institute, setting up National Institute for MSME development. Then they have also created a new cadre for the SME development. Then realizing this some 3 decades ago, our founder, Professor J. Philip, incorporated entrepreneurship, the term in our institute's name itself. In its 3 decades of existence, XIME has been continuously nurturing entrepreneurship by giving special emphasis on curriculum and also by having an incubation center for the entrepreneurs. Over hundreds of our alumni made a mark in entrepreneurship by starting various ventures. Recently, XIME has set up an entrepreneurial leadership center to promote the leadership capabilities of MSME promoters, which has been recognized as a center of excellence by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. In order to encourage the achievement of this sector of our economy, our chairman, as a part of XIME Silver Jubilee celebrations, constituted the SME Excellence Award 2021 in association with BCIC. This was announced in mid-2020, and due to pandemic, the entire process of inviting nominations to jury finalization got extended. Over 33 SMEs braving the pandemic participated. The selection process included a campaign by the BCIC among its members and associates. Based on the comprehensive inputs provided by the companies in a special format, which included financials, innovative elements of their product and services and growth. In the first stage, the jury selected the top 10 companies. These top 10 companies were visited by our faculty and student groups. Apart from the personal visits, an objective analysis assessment based on the capability maturity model and Michael Hammer's enterprise maturity model was made. Together with these objective findings and financials, the juries made the final choice. The details of jury observation will be made by our senior jury member and our board member, Mr. Vishwanath. The first prize, as you all know, carries 2 lakhs and a trophy, and the second prize carries a prize of 1 lakh and a trophy. Considering the exceptional resilience shown by other 8 companies during the pandemic, additionally, we have decided to give them an award plaque style top 10 SME. We congratulate all the award-winning SMEs, and we are confident that the winners would become role models to other SMEs and collectively contribute to India's target to achieve 25% of GDP by manufacturing industry. We at XIME are willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with you and support you in your entrepreneurial journey. And please don't hesitate to approach us to solve your business problems. On behalf of the Institute and on behalf of our leadership of the Institute, we wish you very best in your business endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce you all to Professor J. Philip. Sir is the founder of XIME, one of the leading MBA institutions of India with campuses in Kochi and Chennai. He is currently the chairman of XIME Bangalore. Educated at XLRI Jamshedpur and Harvard Business School, Professor Philip has a rich blend of experience as an academic administrator, and in managing both public and private sector companies. Professor Philip started his career at XIME, where he was professor and also the first dean of the institute at the prime age of 34. He was the president of the Indian Society for Training and Development between 1979 and 1980 and is currently its national chairman of the advisory board. Between 1985 and 1991, Professor Philip was the director of IIM Bangalore. He has also founded a number of associations like the Association of Indian Management Schools and is also the founder-president of the Association of BRICS Business Schools. Sir continues to inspire us, his students, with his indomitable spirit and candor. I am honored to welcome
Hello, our very special welcome and love to you SME representatives who are. Look, isn't it an rather irony that business school should give award to industries and that to financial award? It's usually the other way around. So I said that's very true. But then we are different. So let me mention about a little bit of those difference. One, like you, we also help, and we got help from large number of people in the country and even outside, and slowly built that up. Now at the building stage, we thought about the name. What should be the name of the institute? I was a student, faculty member and dean at XLRI. So that Xavier was something which became part of me. So I said Xavier should be the name. But then totality, for example, XLRI Xavier Labor Relations Institute. XISS Ranchi is Xavier Institute of Social Service. XIM Bhubaneswar is Xavier Institute of Management Bhubaneswar. So when we started our thought about our name, I said no. We would add E at the end of it, XIME, Xavier Institute of Management and Entrepreneurship. And this was in 91. Nobody talked about entrepreneurship at that time. Nobody even cared about small enterprise, but we, from the very start, had this spirit, because as I said, we started with 10,000 rupees. I knew we would grow, and we grew as you see it. And we have 3 institutions like this, and every place there is an auditorium exactly like this, and all the facilities like this. We are fully residential. We admit 180 MBA students here, 120 in Madras and 120 in Kochi. So that means 300, 420 plus 420, 840, and certain other students. So we come to about 900 students, and the campus is fully residential. And the other thing is that we are very national. If you look at our students' composition, you will be surprised to see there is no state here which has more than 10% representation. And the 22 to 23 states are represented here. But anyway, going back to my E. So this was part of the bloodstream, part of the soul from day one. Because we wanted this to be a model in terms of building a social enterprise. And not a business enterprise as you do, a social enterprise. But it's almost the same philosophies and issues and worries bother us. But we grew up so I mentioned immediately afternoon there was a speech, and I said, somebody asked me, oh, you built these 3 campuses, big campuses, nice campuses. Where did you get this money? Did you take a large loan? I said, no loan. No rupee. We never took a loan. So this is an excellent case of enterprise too as to how we manage it. But there are 2-3 things here. People make easy money by what we call the other principle was, thank you. The other principle was we'll keep our fees moderate. This was one of the return on policies that we can raise. For example, this year, for your information, this year our placement salary is 9.2 lakhs starting salary. So that means one of the boys who is graduating or girls who is graduating, 50% girls, that's another thing. The graduating from here starts with a salary of 9.2, 9.5. But the yearly fee is only 5 lakhs rupees. So in 1 year, they make almost the 2 years fees. Now, but in spite of that, we kept, compared to many other people, we kept our fees low here. So that is another aspect that is part of our value system. That this is not for, this is to provide a, if you look at our mission, that's very interesting. We talk about contributing to nation development by a steady stream, providing a steady stream of young managers, value-driven, competent, and a globalized mindset. That's what it is. Okay. Now, after having done our E into this, we were at St. Martha's Hospital compound in that asbestos shed. So then we asked the question, where do we start? We did not have the MBA at that time. And you don't get it immediately just like that. We had said we will start with an SME program. Our first program in 91 November was a program for managing SMEs. That's the way we started. So it was a 6 weeks program at the asbestos shed in St. Martha's Hospital compound. That's the way we started. Thereafter, when our MBA program came in, we were one of the first to introduce entrepreneurship as a required compulsory course. Yeah, that's one. 2, we started offering a number of entrepreneurship programs in the country. So we had problem because an entrepreneurship program cannot be priced even full cost basis. It had to be subsidized, and we didn't have that kind of money. Fortunately, Hewlett Packard came our way. They heard about what we were doing and came up with a massive support of 7 years to run a series of entrepreneurship development programs, particularly for marginalized people, which we did. And almost immediately after that, SIDBI, your Small Industries Development Bank, asked us, or we developed a concept of small MBA for small business. So I said, what is a small MBA for small business? They said, this program is called Small Industries SIMAP, Small Industries Management Assistance Program. So he will be an executive assistant to the proprietor or owner, the managing director. So we want to prepare such youngsters in 6 weeks or 8 weeks SIMAP. For on behalf of SIDBI, we conducted these programs. Then we had some help from Science and Technology Department. We even had some help from a Canadian agency. We ran a number of women's entrepreneurship development programs, etc., etc. So all through, this was part of our journey. Entrepreneurship, small business was part of our journey. Last year, we conducted a national scale business plan contest for technology and management students. And plenty of money, we spent about 6 or 7 lakhs rupees for that. Now that's part of our social obligation. And so answering that gentleman, I said, picking from our director, this is such a valuable part of the economy, valuable part of the society, such a valiant part of the economy, valor, what you go through. Said we should at least make a small contribution, and that small contribution is to recognize. We cannot go to the whole of the country. At least in Bangalore, who are the best managed ones. In Paris, in France, they have a system of recognizing the best chef, because tourism and hospitality industry are key industries of France. Likewise, in this country, entrepreneurship is vital. So we thought we are small, but we still will make our little contribution, as the squirrel did in Ramayana, no, little bit, right? So that's what it was. Last 1 year, my colleagues worked on it, struggled on it. COVID came in the way, but we decided that this must happen. And BCIC, would like to thank them for their participation, support in identifying, working towards how to pick up the best ones and then come up with the awards. And we have an excellent jury headed by Mr. Swaminathan, who is one of our senior most members of the board. Students and faculty, all of us were involved in this. And I would like to thank two people today, particularly Pramod and Mr. Krasta, who worked almost like as our faculty here in organizing the whole effort and the program. I'd like to very specially thank them. And every one of who came here on this special occasion, when we are expressing our solidarity with you, valiant group of the country. Thank you very much for coming and share with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have with us some wonderful industry association representatives. Mr. Anil Kumar, Managing Director, SLN Technologies, has been the Executive Committee member of Electronic Industries Association of India for the period between 2014 to 2016. And currently he is on the panel for Aerospace and Defense Committee at India Electronics and Semiconductor Association. I'd like to invite you, sir, to speak a few words.
Good evening. The great founder of XIME Institute, Professor J. Philip, and all the dignitaries on the stage, my industry friends, and all the award winners here, and the students of this institute. It is a great privilege for me. First of all, I would like to thank XIME Institute for inviting me so that I can share some thoughts with you. Honestly, I didn't expect that my turn is going to come so quickly, That's fine. This is my second visit to this institute, sir. Whenever I came here, it's always a very learning experience for me. Today, I was really motivated by the speech of Professor Philip, the way he founded this institution. And I was actually wondering that why we don't give so much importance for teaching entrepreneurship. And I'm very happy to know that your organization, your institute started with that objective, and you are, spearheading this initiative. I would like to congratulate you and also thank you for giving this service to the industry. And when I thought about this event, I just looked at some of the invitees list, probable winners for this awards competition, or it's a recognized awards. I don't have anything much to tell them because they're all excellent organizations. They have achieved the best, and I can challenge that, or I can confidently tell that you conduct this award function after 10 years, I'm sure many of them will be there. The reason I'll tell you, our organization won 2 national awards from MSME, from Prime Minister, and it was a learning experience for me because the first time we got in 2008, when we wanted to participate again, it took 5 years because there are a lot of fluctuations in the company in terms of performance, and the evaluation criteria is designed in such a way that there is no room for any problems or mistakes there. So that means you must consistently perform every year. There has to be a top line growth, bottom line growth, and they will ensure that you are paying all the taxes properly, GST or VAT, whatever it is, and then income tax. And that way what will happen is it will guide you in a proper direction. And if I look at all the winners, there is one winning factor for all these companies. They are always guided by some principles of achieving the best in the industry. That's what actually I learned from interacting with other industries. And Professor, when Nelliyappan, when he gave introduction, he actually gave a lot of statistics. I don't want to repeat that. But if I can add M to this, we are talking about SME. Then if you add M, that is micro, small, medium, and enterprises, then the entire number changes drastically. For example, we have 6 crore registered units, 6 crore. If you add M, and then the export numbers, what sir was mentioning, if the total contribution of SME is about 40%, if you add M to that, then straight away goes to 50, almost 49.8%. And government has given in 1 year $129 billion loan to this industry, MSMEs, so all put together. So, and it is actually about 50% more compared to the previous year, and even the growth, this I am talking about 19, 20 and 21. So what it actually says, MSMEs are the backbone of the industry, there is no doubt. But the real question is, are these MSMEs creating wealth for themselves? And they are definitely creating wealth for the others. There is no doubt about that. I always tell that MSMEs are actually frontline soldiers who takes the shots first. Okay, and they are also unsung heroes. If you look at any other industry like Germany, 49% is MSME contribution to the GDP. So we are in India, we are about 35%. Mr. Nitin Gadkari was the MSME minister. He set a target that we should go to 40%. And then he set a target that our export contribution from MSME should go to 60%. So we are still behind countries like Germany, and most of the German companies are managed by families and their partnerships. They are not even listed companies. So what is there for us to learn from this experience? I as an entrepreneur for last 27 years, and I'm an industrialist, I mean I'm in the industry with 37 years experience. I've noticed one thing, when you talk about starting a company, people will just decide saying that I just want to start my own company, I want to be my own boss. Now the situation has changed. You can't have the same motivation saying that I want to be on my own, and your enterprise which you are starting, it can be a startup company, always starts as micro and then go to small, medium, like that, because today micro also is 5 crores. So we have a segregation of 5 crores, 50 and 250 crores. It has changed the equation. But it should not be an alternative option for you. Entrepreneurship should not be, okay, why I should work for somebody else, but I'll start my own industry. But that is not a good idea anymore, because industries are paying more today. If you work for a good company, they will give you, sir mentioned that you're starting with 6 lakh salary, but when we started, we are starting with 1,200 rupees per month salary kind of thing. And today it has changed, okay? So wealth creation should be the sole objective of starting an organization. And the last point, I don't want to take much time. It is always a good idea to get back to school after you start your industry. There are a lot of other things, skills required to run an industry. When people start, they have absolutely no idea actually what are the difficulties in the, running your own organization. For example, if you default paying some taxes, GST filing or income tax, the problem will surface after 5 years or 10 years. And then the cost for that is very huge. It's not only penalties, sometimes they may even ask you to go to jail. So these things will not be known to the entrepreneurs when they start. So it's always better you take advice from others and get back to school. So we have wonderful organizations like XIME, IIM. See, in 2001, when I joined IIM Bangalore for International Masters, they asked me one question: you are an entrepreneur, you don't need any certificates, why are you joining this program? I told them, say, I want to learn. Then they said, it's very costly option. It's an international program, you have to travel to many countries. But that really paid for us. Later on, after I completed that, I asked my partner also to join that program, and it really helped us. So this is my sincere request to all of you. There are a lot of budding entrepreneurs here. When you start an organization, you give equal importance for other things. It can be a finance, it can be HR, it can be industrial relations. These are all very, very important. And don't learn with mistakes. That's what I did actually. We learned a lot of things by making mistakes, and that was very, very costly for us. And that is not the right way to learn. Let us in an institute like XIME and learn from them. There are a lot of industry experts. I interacted with many people here. So thank you very much once again. Sorry, I would have exceeded my limit. I beg your pardon for that, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for throwing light on the MSME's contribution on the GDP. Next, I'd invite Mr. Arunakar Mishra, CEO and founder of Genser Aerospace and council member of Society of Indian Aerospace Technologies and Industries. His experience spans over 4 decades in India and abroad at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in its various divisions and offices. I'd like to invite you, sir, to say a few words.
Thank you. Professor Philip, the dignitary on the dais, and friends. I was in Hindustan Aeronautics Limited for 22 years, and I left Hindustan Aeronautics in '97 and wanted to become an entrepreneur. So it was not 10,000. I did not have anything. And Professor Philip may not remember, but I was earning few hundreds by giving a few lectures in materials management in XIME long back. So many days have passed since then. Now, basically, entrepreneurship creates value in many ways, in terms of money and non-money, in many ways. I don't know whether this word has been used during entrepreneurship in Sanskrit. Entrepreneurship is defined in one word, which is antah prerana. I don't know whether this, antah prerana is your inner inspiration. So you start with that. I don't know, some people will be knowing Hindi here. And I studied in Kerala. I studied in Calicut in Kerala, my engineering. So I know a bit of Malayalam. There is someone, a poet says, Pathik anathak ja raha, निज रक्त ही पाथे लेकर और निज लक्ष्य ही पाथे लेकर. It's maybe a bit complicated. So it says that the pathik is somebody who, a traveler, or somebody who is moving forward with nothing else other than his goal. So that is the kind of travelers entrepreneurs are. So I became an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs basically have to take risk. All of us have to take risk. And when we take risk, when we succeed, you can lead. And when we fail, you can guide. So this is what I think Vivekananda had also said, that you take risk. Risk taking is very important. Now, what is our next frontier? Some of you are students, some of you are MSME, industry owners. What is our next frontiers? Few things are not being done in India. In many countries, if we observe them, some of the SMEs, when they start, or some of the entrepreneurs when they start, they think of global market. They think whole globe as the market, not just localized market. That is one thing we need to have our vision. And also, most countries in the West and even other in the East, what they begin with is product. Product has got more risk than the service. The service gives returns faster. We have been taking lesser risk. I think we need to get into greater risk. And other thing which we do not find here in India much is proper consortium. When number of people come together and work as an organization, not as an association, but as a bonded organization, there are not many. I think we need to try. I will give you an example of aeronautics because I am from that field. there is something called formation flying of the birds. You might have noticed birds fly in formation. So when they fly in formation, what happens is the leading bird remains a leader and rest of them stay in a triangular fashion. So what happens is the leading bird takes the main onus of making the way through the air, and the drag encountered by the leading bird is maximum, and other birds encounter lesser drag. But they know by nature that if they remain in formation, the overall drag, the summation of the drag faced by all these birds is less than if they would have been flying individually. So they fly in formation. Even if aircrafts fly in formation, they will consume less fuel than if they would fly independently. So I think we need to learn from the nature, and formation working among SMEs will be good to do. We need to experiment. I don't think, okay, another thing I want to share with you, that I have taken another greater risk for the industry and for the country. Not known to many people, Mr. Anil Kumar knows. We have in last 4 or 5 years started designing and developing a light business jet. Now for SME it is very difficult to think of that alone. So we are grouping with number of people. Even for bigger companies, in last 75 years, we do not have civil aircraft of our own. We have not offered anything to the world. We have been buying aircraft. We say that we are growing in aviation and aerospace. When we say we are growing, we are buying more aircraft. We are not giving any aircraft to the world. So we need to do. We have started working on developing a light business jet, which is a 7-seater business jet, 2 pilots. It is a high-end business jet. It will go 4,000 kilometers from here. So from Bangalore, you can go to Singapore, you can go to Dubai. A mock-up of this is being built not very far away from here. Some of you can have a look. If you can contact me, I will take you there. And this aircraft should come into reality in about 3 years' time. I think with that I will stop. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your journey with us. Dr. Jacob Krasta, founder and chairman of CM Envirosystems Private Limited and the chairman of L Square Eco Products Private Limited. A visionary businessman, he is also a member of the Council on Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, chaired by the Prime Minister to lay down broad policy guidelines and review the development of the MSME sector in India. I'd like to invite you, sir, to say a few words.
Good evening, everybody. Professor Philip, and dignitaries of the dais. And Professor Philip told you all that he started his institute in St. Martha's Hospital in 1991. I was a Peenya Industries Association president then. Since then, I have been associated with him even after I became a CASIA president, and after that even FKCC president. So since 1991, I have been associated with him. So he is a Guru Shishya Sambandha. I hail from a small village, and if at all I have grown up to an industry where there are multi industries with the different verticals. So I learned from Professor Philip how to manage the MSME. But unfortunately, our MSMEs, if you do the calculation or rather statistics, after 70 years of independence, how many micro units have grown up to small and small to medium and medium to large? Very few. Probably the management institute like this has to associate it more with our MSMEs. And that is what Professor Philip is doing it. And this is what, even after the pandemic of 2.5 years, our so many MSMEs are getting the award. So this is the lesson from the what he is talking about after the management, entrepreneurship. And this entrepreneurship comes from MSME. And MSME, as is rightly stated, statistics about 6.5 crores of MSMEs in our country and about 8.5 lakhs of MSMEs in our Karnataka. See now what is happening in the economy? Economy now is about $3.1 trillion economy. Whereas after independence, to cross $1 trillion economy, it has taken about 60 years. And from that onwards to $2 trillion economy, it has taken 10 years. But now we are at $3.1 trillion economy. And after the 100 years of independence, 2047, it is going to be $40 trillion economy. In 2025, it's going to be $5 trillion economy. So if that is the economy growing, that credit goes to whom? You all, my dear students. It is the future for you. That means after 25 years after this institute, when you go out and be in the economy, which is going to be a $40 trillion economy, are you all ready? Plan out your life, plan out of your whole journey for another 25 years. That means 2047, 100th year of independence. So for that you require to link up with the MSME. Don't that just profile a nice profile and put it in the Google and start for employment. Why you waste your life working for somebody else? Work for yourself. Provide employment. That is what is required today. That is the economy which talks about it. Because you as a management institute trained up here as well as on entrepreneurship, I think all of you should start an enterprise. Not go and search for job. Instead of wasting your blood. And if you know that generally what happens in IT is they suck the blood. So do you want to be blood given? Of course, mosquito sucks the blood. Okay, it doesn't matter. That is for the reproduction. But the boss sucking blood. And you know that after the pandemic, highest divorces are taken place in ITs after the pandemic. Because husband and wife never met so far. But the pandemic, working from home, they were always 24 hours together. Evidently, it is divorces takes place. So don't give cause for such things, mental tension, depression. So enterprise, the challenges, learn from MSME friends. It is a beautiful, real challenging. So get into MSMEs, and it is a cause now today, is despite the pandemic, 2.5 years, MSMEs are getting an award. They have done very good. Maybe some of the MSMEs have suffered. Those who are in ICU, they came out of the general ward and they start now walking, now running. So this is the challenge where you can face an MSME. So don't get into that muck of sucking blood. Enterprise, become an entrepreneur, be proud that I am an entrepreneur and I pay my due taxes. Hit the table and say that yes, I am an entrepreneur. Create economy, $40 trillion economy. It is yours and ours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. We definitely try to be the future you want to see. Next, I'd like to call Mr. Pramod Sethi, Managing Director at Polyfluoro Limited, representing Bomasandra Industrial Area. He is also a member of the MSME panel and Managing Director of Ecometric Surface Finishes Private Limited. Being the owner of Performance Polymers and Coatings, he is turning an engineering plastics processing and components manufacturing company and bringing it to a global arena. I'd like to invite you, sir, to say a few words.
Respected dignitaries, dedicated professors and teachers, fellow industrialists and business associates, and XIME's most admirable students and aspirants ready to step into the real business world. I'm really so glad to be here at this exciting and wonderful event. If there is an SME Excellence Award prize giving ceremony, and more so for celebrating XIME's Silver Jubilee Annual Day. I'm sure most of you have read the Fortune magazine, It is a premium business magazine which covers business, money, and all stakeholders. Now, fortune can come in many ways. You can inherit a fortune, you can work towards building a fortune, you can be fortunate to have the advantage of a good schooling, good parenting, and I would say in purely business terms, you could have the greatest advantage if you have a good mentor. It is the last category that I am interested in because this concerns Professor Philip and XIME. I was fortunate to meet Professor Philip way back in 1991, 1992, you know. And it was an acquaintance made to me through some common friends at Koramangala, where I lived and he lived. I used to see him walking every morning. I used to cross him, but I didn't know him then. Then I had a friend of mine who had passed out from XLRI, and when I shared with him that I had acquired a ailing company, a sick company, you know, stress company under KSFC Act, Section 29, and that maybe he could help me, give me some piece of advice. And he said that, look, I know Professor Philip, he lives in Bangalore, and he's a very remarkable professor. Why don't you go and get in touch with him? He's very learned about entrepreneurship. Go and meet him. Sure enough, I made contact and I was with Professor Philip probably in a couple of days' time. Everybody whom I met at that time, you know, I had already paid the money to KSFC and I had acquired the company. My auditor said, no problem, this is a good company, you know, we'll get this started. But everybody else in the family outside told me that I had made the biggest blunder of my life. I had signed on a piece of document worth about 1.2 crores. You know, I didn't even have maybe 50,000 rupees with me at that time. And KSFC was very keen to get rid of all the stressed units. This happened in the month of February and March. They want to clean their balance sheets, and they said, you take it. You know, we will give it to you, pay 5 lakhs or 10% now, and it was only 5 lakhs, and you can give a PD check, and there you are. Professor Philip gave me the benefit of his time, resources, and advice selflessly. And I can truly and humbly say today, sir, that had it not been for you, had I not had the good fortune to be introduced to you at that time, the outcome may have been very, very different. You know, maybe I would not have been standing here with you guys. Now, the professor did not shower me with any platitudes, and he gave me good and solid advice. He didn't, you know, most people you go to, they will tell you, tough times don't last, tough people do. There was nothing of the sort with the professor. I barely knew him. I respected him because here he, as a person who listened to me so carefully, listening. I never heard him speaking, you know. And eventually he invited me to the St. Martha's, to the XIME, which was situated at the St. Martha's Hospital. When I went into the hospital, I was inquiring about a management education school. Nobody seemed to know what it is and where it is. But eventually I located him and he took me into the classroom, very humble. You guys are so lucky, you're sitting in a palace here, you know. So in that classroom, maybe, as he said, about 2,500 square feet with asbestos shed, there were hardly about 15 or 20 students, you know, at that time. And he introduced me to them. They were going to roll out, the year was going to come to an end. And he had 4 of his students or 6 of his students intern with me, and believe me, that proved to be extremely beneficial to me and my ailing company. Had it not been for them, I did not even know I didn't have an industry background, you see. Although I had been visiting industries, servicing generators, because we were, earlier I was a main dealer for Ashok Leyland in Karnataka for their industrial diesel engine. Prior to that, I was in the merchant navy. So I had no exposure to business whatsoever. And so these students, they worked hard. They proved very beneficial to me. I don't know where they are, but I hope that in trying to work with a startup, they benefited as much from the, the startup concept, the troubles that you have in your startup, as I benefited for them. The lessons I learned from Professor was that give your complete focus to the task at hand. He used to continuously tell me that, don't speak about this, you tell me what have you done on this. The other favorite of his was, because suddenly I found myself completely changing, new to industry, routine is getting upset, friends are leaving, nobody wants to come near me because I might ask them for some money or whatever. So he said, adapt to change, since change is constant. Beneath all this, there was a message which he didn't specifically say, in any words or whatsoever, but there was the students himself, maybe about just 20 of us there, so much love and kindness, so much love and kindness. He said, be proactive, do not procrastinate. You can only be proactive if you love what you do. Procrastination is being unkind, Don't do that, So there we are. You have been taught here in this wonderful institution all the management tools. But I am specifically trying to stress upon you this aspect of love and kindness, this aspect about, the way he groomed me up at that time, because these are the intangibles. They are not the management tools that you study in the classroom. These are the intangibles that separate success from failure. Please bear that in mind. The point of this story is that you guys are already very fortunate. You have studied under the professor's tutelage and at this extraordinary educational organization that he has created. He has already told you, and so did somebody else, that this whole setup was started in a very humble hospital compound, with 15 and 20 students, and you had a blackboard. There was no whiteboard. And then it was all pure grit and determination that the professor exhibited as an entrepreneur, which he himself admitted. He said, you people start business, you don't have money. I just had 10,000 rupees, Now look at this great institution. Look at the way it has replicated itself in Kochi, in Chennai, and this is the biggest private B school in South India. All credit to Professor Vijay, sir. Yeah. To the promise he rendered to his daughter Maria. Kindly give him a huge applause for this, and to Maria, wherever she is. God be with you, girl. Let this be the inspiration and springboard to bigger and better things and creating a fortune for yourself. I wish you all the best. Congratulations to the prize winners to come on the stage a little while from now. God bless you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your inspiring journey with us. I would now like to request Dr. M. Nilayappan, Director of XIME Bangalore, to give a token of our appreciation to 4 industry association representatives we have with us today. Mr. M. Anil Kumar, Managing Director, SLN Technologies. Mr. Arunakar Mishra, CEO and founder of Genser Aerospace and council member of Society of Indian Aerospace Technologies and Industries. Dr. Jacob Krasta, founder and chairman of CM Envirosystems Private Limited and chairman of L Square Eco Products Private Limited. Mr. Pramod Sethi, managing director at Polyfluoro Limited. Thank you, sir. I am very much delighted to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. G.R. Akadas, Director of the prestigious MSME Development Institute, Government of India. Mr. G.R. Akadas started his professional journey in 1986 as a management trainee in Mysore Kirloskar Limited Foundry Division. He went on to hold the position of Director of MSME Department Institutes in Hubli, Hyderabad, Goa, and finally Bangalore in 2019. He has been the Deputy Director of Small Industries Development Organization Web Portal, Office of the Development Commissioner, New Delhi, and was awarded the Golden Icon Award in 2005 for the Best Documented Knowledge-Based Professional category. We are truly honored to have you with us, sir, and would request you to kindly address the gathering.
Good evening, everyone. Professor Phillips, dignitaries on the dais, the faculty of XIME, and dear entrepreneurs and my dear students. I am here to tell you what government is doing in this MSME sector, what infrastructure we have created, and how you all can take advantage of our services. See, we come under Ministry of MSME, Government of India. We have one KVIC, Khadi Village Industries, and Office of the Development Commissioner. Under Office of the DC MSME, we are having 30 MSME development institutes throughout India and 30 branches. We also have several technology development centers, and we do, what is our work? In fact, we are into advocacy, consultancy, and hand-holding services for MSMEs. So during pandemic, we had launched a website called champions.gov.in, where we were manning it almost morning 8 to 8 to night 8 p.m. And there were a lot of problems where entrepreneurs were reporting online, and we used to take it up with the concerned departments. So this was very successful, and in our institute itself in Bangalore, more than 1,000 problems were sorted out. And about entrepreneurs and these awards, because I am not an entrepreneur, but recently a viral post is going on in our office groups, which is supposed to be quoted by a famous industrialist. What he says is, we should start calling actors as entertainers and our entrepreneurs as heroes for our next generation to know. Actually, this is to know what is the actual meaning of entrepreneurship and who is a real hero. So I really appreciate this quote. And of course, we are also just announced national awards, as Mr. Anil Kumar was telling. So the last date is 24th of this month only. Everything is online now. Unlike earlier, we used to carry those applications in, almost a private vehicle was required. And just that has to be taken on goods train to New Delhi. Each state used to take it. Now the procedure is so simple. Entrepreneur will log into a portal and upload his details. It will be evaluated in the state government under the chairmanship of Secretary Industries. and the next stage will be in the national level. And there are more than 5 categories this time, and the award carries, I think, 3 lakh, 2 lakh, and 1 lakh. And of course, they will give this award can be used as a logo in your letterheads, visiting cards, and it's quite prestigious. So I request all the entrepreneurs to kindly apply, because I know in Karnataka the very high-tech industries who have been performing very well. So please keep in mind, and to make the students aware at this stage, we have started national level awareness programs. This year more than 50 colleges we have covered, showing some motivational films, documentaries, success stories, so that you people can be inspired to take up some self-employment ventures. As you know, the startups have become viral now. A lot of startups are coming up, and I was surprised to visit some of the incubation centers, like Atal Incubation Center in Nitte and Karkala, as well as in Bangalore. And you will be surprised if you visit and see what kind of innovations are going on, which you cannot imagine. But surprisingly and unfortunately, most of them are stuck up in financing, because our traditional banking doesn't allow such things, and they are really struggling. So now the government has come out with recently 2 months back we have announced a MSME Innovate scheme, where it's a combination of the old schemes, which includes establishment of technology business incubators and encouraging intellectual property rights. We do reimburse the patent patent charges. Suppose you are filing domestic or international patent, we are going to reimburse up to 80%. And also this design clinic scheme, we are having a design clinic project which is going on in IISc Bangalore, where the ministry is financing the new designs, wherein the faculty, the professors in IISc, they are assisting the entrepreneurs to develop their ideas, and each project is being given seed capital by the government. Similarly, last year around 26 incubators were sanctioned around Bangalore, and as per the latest guidelines, unless minimum 2 of their concepts are approved, they are not going to get the finance. Otherwise, if you are getting at least 2 business ideas, then 1 crore is the money given for infrastructure. Similarly, hopefully within 2 weeks, the new Z scheme is going to be announced, zero defect, zero effect. This is a quality, just like ISO 9000. This quality standard is supposed to take care of all kinds of certification, which is supposed to be more superior. So let's wait for this. And of course, the ease of doing business, which is more talked about nowadays. And there's a competition going on between all the states. So even in Karnataka, the ease of doing business is of course promoted very well. Then the government of India has now made this procedure very simple for getting the formalities. Everything is online. Suppose you want to start a venture, Udyam registration, without going to any office, by sitting at home you can register your MSME or any enterprise which you want to start. Almost every activity is covered under MSME now. So it's very beneficial for getting finance. Even traders, wholesalers, they can be MSME, but no other schemes will be applicable for them except for finance. Then the most successfully running scheme of our government is cluster development. So following the model of the development in China, where they have converted the whole village into a manufacturing sectors in different products. So here also we are promoting clusters by giving grant of 20 crores for creation of common facility centers. For example, there is a LCA cluster in Electronic City, which you can see is a wonderful setup. So this scheme is, even during the pandemic, this was running successfully. So once again, I congratulate all the winners, because every MSME is a winner, I know, but these people have some edge over others. And I thank all the organizers for giving me this opportunity to introduce my department or activities. And I request all of you, all the students, to start thinking of starting your own ventures to create employment, because as you know, the government's new agenda is Make in India, then Atmanirbhar Bharat, and Vocal for Local. These three are to be promoted. Please do remember. And the infrastructure, the facilities created by the institute seems to be wonderful under the guidance of Professor Philip. And I wish you all the success in your future. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir, for inspiring us with your words. I would now like to request the founder and chairman, XIME Bangalore, Professor J. Philip, to present the token of gratitude to our guest of honor, Mr. G.R. Akadas. Thank you, sir.
I would now like to introduce to you our esteemed panel of jury members, beginning with Mr. Ajit Jagannath. Over the last 30 years, Mr. Ajit has worked at corporates, startups, and not-for-profits in a variety of job functions spanning multiple continents, delivering results. He is currently working as a CXO for hire, focused on mid-sized companies, focused on setting up new business functions, improving or transforming existing functions, executive research, executive coaching, and HR consulting. Next, we have with us Mr. Rajesh Misra, incubator, mentor, and technology entrepreneur. He is experienced across industries and geographies, particularly Asia Pacific and India. He enjoys steering leadership teams and organizations through strategic change and providing transitionary leadership and change management. Next, we have with us Mr. Kenny Ramanand, National Secretary, All India Manufacturers Organization. He is a critical thinker, startup mentor, serial entrepreneur, investor, and public affairs influencer. He is actively involved in the industry forums like service-side ad insertion and has been busy on the lecture circuit imparting knowledge to the next generation. Finally, we have with us Mr. S. Vishwanathan, a member of the Board of Governors of XIME Bangalore and used to be the CEO of the John Fowler India Private Limited. He was the former chairman of Confederation of Indian Industry, Karnataka. He has been a board of member of a number of companies in India and Europe and is currently an executive coach. I now request Mr. S. Vishwanathan to share the observations of the jury and feedback on the whole process.
Thank you. Professor Philip, Professor Ravindranathan, Professor Nellayappan, the other dignitaries here, and the students. I realize that I stand between you and the announcement of the winner and the runner-up. So I will limit my talk to under 5 minutes in order not to test your patience. We, the members of the jury, were fortunate to evaluate a diverse set of companies in manufacturing, in services, and in various stages of development cycle. And let me tell you that it wasn't easy to evaluate. From the application received from companies, the first process was to shortlist 10 companies. And these 10 companies are of varying sizes, from single-digit turnover to well over 200 crores. That is the sort of diversity we had. The products and the services were also diverse. Manufacturer of FIBC bags, electric vehicle transport aggregators, food products, aerospace, IT product company, environmental test chambers, interior design and construction, manufacture of gears, office servicing, and stem cell based medical application. So you can see the diversity, the old economy, the new economy, and if I may add, the next economy. The jury looked at their companies, the market that these companies are addressing, the products, the services, the initiatives taken to achieve superior financial strength, to achieve business excellence, sustainability, and for promoting employee welfare. And after deliberation, we made a short list. 4 companies made this short list, again based on the type of products and the services, the innovation, the future of the industry in which they are operating, the sustainability, and how well the company is doing. We looked at the customers of these companies, the team that is in place. Is the company ripe for disruption, or it is an industry that can disrupt the incumbents? Is there a forward-looking management? The niche area it operates, the potential for growth, the entry barriers, a wide variety of factors came into play. And that is how we arrived at the winner and the runner-up. As for the other companies who were in the list of 10, they did not miss by a big margin. They all did well, but eventually we had to select 2 companies. And I'm sure all these companies will be in the podium in the near future. Our thanks to Professor Philip and XIME for asking us to be a part of the jury. My thanks to the jury members, Mr. Ajit Ranganath, Mr. Rajesh Mishra, Kenny Ramana. And my thanks also to the faculty members of XIME, Dr. Mahesh, Dr. Ashok, and Dr. Manjunath, because they fed us a lot of data and a lot of analysis, which made our job much easier. And I also understand quite a few students were involved in this study. My thanks to them too. So it has been a pleasure. We had a good journey. It has been a pleasure to be part of the jury. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your observation. Now comes the time for the unveiling of the much-awaited part of the evening. We begin by congratulating all the companies who were a part of the SME Excellence Competition. Firstly, I would like to call upon all the members on the dais to come forward. And also, I would now like to invite the other 3 jury members, Mr. Ajit Jagannath, Mr. Rajesh Mishra, Mr. Kenny Ramanan, to proceed towards the dais. And also, I would like to invite Professor Madhukumar, Dean Academics, XIME Bangalore, Dr. NMK Bhatta, Dean Research, XIME Bangalore, Dr. Mahesh MV, Dean Placement, XIME Bangalore, to proceed towards the stage. I would now like to request the chief guest, Mr. Vijay Krishna Venkatesan, to declare the winners and hand over the prize money check of the SME Excellence Award.
Good evening, all. I don't know whether this is like a Grammy or an Oscars, but right? There is no music in the background. I was expecting that too. And there is no stress on the industry leaders because they are so used to receiving many awards and many recognition. So let me not reach anymore. Just announcing the winner of SME Excellence Award for the year 2021. It goes to Aerospace.
I'd like to request the founder of XIME and chairman of XIME Bangalore, Professor J. Philip, to hand over the trophy. Thank you, sir. I would now like to request the guest of honor, Mr. G.R. Akadas, to declare the runners-up and hand over the prize money check of the SME Excellence Award.
The runner-up of SME Excellence Award 2021 goes to Lithium Urban Technologies. Congratulations.
I would like to request Chairman XIME Bangalore, Professor J. Philip, to hand over the prize money check. Thank you, sir. Now we call upon the 8 other finalists to come up on the stage and receive the mementos in the alphabetical order. Firstly, I call upon Mr. S. Ramakrishnan, Chairman and Managing Director, and Mr. Srinivasa Rao, representing BuildMed Fibers Private Limited. Thank you, sir. Dr. Anil Kumar Kotani, Director of Director Anil Kumar Kotani, Director, representing Envisis Technologies Private Limited. Thank you, sir. Mr. Naresh Pagaria, representing Pagaria Food Products Private Limited. Thank you, sir. Mr. Darshan K.N., Associate Director Sales, and Ms. Saumya, representing Probe Information Services Private Limited. Thank you, sir. Ms. Christina M. Gose, Director, Snap Offices Private Limited. Thank you, sir. CEO and Dr. Kunal Joshi, representing Stormprotix Research Private Limited. Our jury members, Mr. Ajit Jagannath, Mr. Rajesh Misra, Mr. Kenny Ramanand, and Mr. S. Vishwanath. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our chief guest of the day, Mr. Vijay Krishnan Venkatesan. He is the Managing Director of Kenna Metal India Limited since September 2020 and Vice Chairman, Confederation of Indian Industry, Karnataka State Council. He spearheads the infrastructure business of Kenna Metal for the Asia-Pacific region, in addition to his role as the Managing Director of Kenna Metal India Limited. In his current role, he is leading efforts to drive growth for Kenna Metal in India and create value for its stakeholders through manufacturing excellence, financial prudence, and enhancing environment, social, and governance standards for the company. Apart from his leadership roles, Mr. Vijay Krishnan is the Vice Chairman of the Confederation of Indian Industries, Karnataka State Council, and Executive Committee member of Indian Machine Tool Manufacturers Association. He is also the convener of the Environment and Sustainability Panel, CII Karnataka, and part of the State Council, I request our chief guest, Mr. Vijayakrishnan Venkatesan, to address the gathering.
Good evening, everybody. Before I start, first lesson to the students, never be the last person to do an address. It's very difficult after all my learned colleagues and industry captains have spoken so eloquently on details of the SMEs. So many statistics were spoken, so much of details were covered, so much about what the institute is doing for promoting entrepreneurship. So the one right thing I did is I did not write my speech because I knew there was no use because all of them covered everything. So I am going to try and keep all of you entertained. I know it's a little towards late evening on a Saturday and I can see the murmurs. I have been a student many years back, so I can relate to it. Can I hold your attention for 10 minutes? Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank XIME and the management out here for inviting me for this event. Professor Philip, thank you for having me here. It's a honor and a privilege. And I want to thank the institution for inviting us and be part of this important award ceremony. I want to thank the professors, also all the industry captains who are here. Truly, they are the courageous ones. I never had the courage to be an entrepreneur. I was like you in a B school. From B school, I entered the rat race and I continue to be a rat till now. Okay, but I admire all of these gentlemen and ladies who have the courage to step out and achieve on their own. Given that so much of statistics has been spoken, what I'm going to attempt is probably connect the dots for both the industry captains as well as all the students out here on how SMEs is a significant backbone of the industry. When everybody talks about SME or MSME, the picture, I don't know what people get here. It could be a small industry, small output, but let's say tomorrow you buy a car, you're buying a refrigerator, you're buying a washing machine. Let's go to very basics. You buy a bottle of shampoo, you buy a bar of soap. There is a 40 to 50% of contribution on these products by the MSMEs, right? You take about most components into a car, even the most premium cars, be it a Mercedes or a Porsche, 40 to 50% is driven or manufactured at an MSME facility. So why MSME is important, like everybody spoke about, is there is a term which is used globally for defining MSMEs. It's called the silent engine of economy. It's not that they are quiet, but they are silent. They are not seen. I'm sure all of you are reading Economic Times, Financial Express, Business Line, Forbes. You'll talk about all the big brands. You talk about CEOs, which stock price is jumping. We talk about Apple. We talk about Nike. But how many times you read the brilliance of MSME's contribution to the country? Hardly. That's why it's called the silent engine of the economy. Many people spoke about the stats, 40% of industry, 45% of exports, but they are the true unsung heroes. But without them, you don't get the cars on road, you don't get your soaps and shampoos, you don't get your Pepsis and your food, what you eat. It's not possible. MSMEs are everywhere. It's not only in engineering industry, they form 30% of the service sector. It's a significant portion of how the Indian economy runs, or even global economy runs. MSMEs are extremely important. Now let me touch a very different topic, right? And most of the industry captains know this because they have more experience than me. Traditionally, we look at, when we talk about manufacturing, let me stick to manufacturing a few minutes away from the service sector. We look at three terms, right? QCD. We talk about always quality, cost, delivery, and that's what been driving MSME for many years, and which enabled them to supply to the premium brands in the world. Now there is, as we look at the economic growth, one of my colleagues spoke about how do we become a $40 trillion economy, and in the short term a $5 trillion economy, out of which the MSMEs are a significant growth driver. there is one word which has to happen into the MSMEs for that to happen, right? When you look at US or Germany or Japan, the MSMEs, there is one thing which they do a little better. That's the I, right? I talked about Q, C, and D, and I'm going to introduce the word I, which is the innovation, right? The spirit of innovation, which is first to the world, right? And it's all young, sharp, budding minds out here. You need to start thinking about innovation. How do you do something first time in the world, out here? It's possible. So while you continue to do the QCD, make sure that the innovation comes in to whatever role or work you do. My last point for the evening, I don't want to stay between you and your dinner. I'm sure that all of you have heard about Indra Nooyi's 5C. Yes, no? Okay. So let me connect that a little bit. I'm sure all of you know this very well. It's important as you get into the either becoming a corporate, getting into a corporate, or you might want to start on your own, right? It talks about the first C is competence. It's just not competence of you as an individual. If you're going to become an entrepreneur or the company, it's a competence of the organization, right? That C is extremely important when you become an entrepreneur. The next one, I will going to jumble up a little bit. The second one is consistency, right? It's just not consistency. Indra Nooyi talks about consistency in terms of framework on how you do your leadership. But when you talk about if you're running your own output, it's consistency of what product or service you make or deliver, right? The consistency is extremely important in the long run. That's what builds your brand, your individual brand, your organization's brand, right? Brand is built over decades. It's not built overnight. It takes time. The third area is communication. While as an individual, you're all B school students, very strong in language and communication. But relate to that, if you become an entrepreneur, what communication means. It's not your individual communication. It's going to be how do you communicate to the external world, the stakeholders, your investors, your customers, your suppliers. Communication becomes an extremely important piece as you become an entrepreneur. Out of the five, I'm going to come to the last C, which in my view is the most important for the students, right? The moral compass. As you get into the industry, the ethics and compliance mindset is what holds a sustainable organization, sustainable personal brand for anyone. You need to, the concept of sustainability is just not for companies anymore or for countries. It's even for individuals because you become a brand, either in a corporate world or tomorrow if you start a new company, your brand speaks for the company as a leader. So the whole moral compass is something which is uncompromising, right? It's something which there is no two ways about it. It's a 0 or 1. There's no gray areas in this. So I just want to leave that thought. Just take that 5 C's, what Indra Nooyi talks about, and how do you connect with, either you get into the corporate world and like me become a rat, maybe a successful rat, I don't know about that. But if you're going as an entrepreneur, this 5C will really augur well for all of you when you start your journey as an entrepreneur. Once again, thanks a lot for having me here. Thanks for inviting me out here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. I humbly request our founder of XIME and chairman of XIME Bangalore, Professor J. Philip, to present the memento to our respected chief guest, Mr. Vijay Krishnan Venkatesan. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to call upon Ms. Kasturi Singh, President of the Empresario Club, to present the vote of thanks.
Good evening to one and all present here, honorable dignitaries, respected jury members, and our most valued guest from the leading SMEs in the state of Karnataka. I, Kasturi Singh, consider myself truly honored and privileged to get this opportunity of extending the vote of thanks. First, I would like to thank our honorable founder and chairman, XIME Bangalore, Professor J. Philip, who conceived this idea of the SME Excellence Awards for recognizing the best performing companies in the SME sector. Sir has yet again proven that there are always new ways to contribute to the business and industry. Next, I would like to thank Chairman XIME Kochi, Professor C.P. Ravindranath sir, for gracing the occasion. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Mr. Vijayanathan Venkateshan, for being with us here today, despite his busy schedule. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank our guest of honor, Mr. G.R. Akadas, for sharing some of the most inspiring thoughts with us. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank our honorable jury members, Mr. Ajit Jagannathan, Mr. Rajesh Mishra, Mr. Kenny Ramanand, and Mr. S. Viswanathan for their efforts in thoroughly evaluating the participating companies. I speak on behalf of the entire institute when I extend my heartfelt thanks to our industry associate representatives, Mr. Anil Kumar, Mr. Anunankar Mishra, Dr. Jacob Trasta, and Mr. Pramod Sethi for sharing their perspective on the SME sector with us. Thank you all for taking this out from your very busy schedules. Next, I would like to extend my most sincere appreciation to the very esteemed guests from the finalist 10 companies. It has truly been a pleasure interacting with you when we visited you and now hosting you all today. This entire journey has been an experience that will stay with us for long. We thank and wish you all continued success in the future. I would like to also thank Director Nellappan sir for facilitating the entire process. I would like to personally thank Dr. Ashok sir and Dr. Mahesh sir for guiding us and helping us execute this event successfully. I would like to extend my gratitude to Subramaniam sir, Robin sir, and Lakshman sir for their technical and admin support. This event would not have been possible without the hard work and enthusiasm of the entire team of Empresario, the Entrepreneurship Club of XIME. Thank you, team. Lastly, I'm grateful to the audience for their presence and cooperation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Kasturi. I'd now like to invite all our respected industry association representatives, our jury members, deans, winners, and finalists to come on to the dais for a group photograph.